Zayn's Nobody's Listening. Interesting album. I'm wondering how long this is going to last for us because this has been kind of nice. But it is 11 songs, 35 minutes, 36 minutes long.
This is another one of the One Directioners that we have reviewed. We did Niall's album last year.
Pretty good.
Whether we actually liked it. Like for pop, I'm like, if you want a decent pop sound, go listen to him. It's like nothing wild and nothing crazy, but it's decent pop. It's not like all the other bullshit that's been coming out. So
yeah, and we've reviewed basically all of the One Directioners album at this point because we definitely have talked about a Harry Styles album. We didn't talk about Louis Tomlinson because no one ever does.
Because no one talks about
but
him. Poor chap.
But he did release an album last year that maybe I'll go back and listen to. And we did review Liam Payne's LP1, and we thoroughly did not enjoy that album.
Yes, that one was ass.
Yeah, so there's been a whole range, and it's kind of very interesting.
Harry Styles ones they're hit and miss for me. Some of it's actually decent, and some of it I think it's a little too avant-garde, a little too poppy, depending on it. Liam's to me is still like the one that I'll listen to. I still listen to some of his stuff occasionally here or there if I want to get into pop. But Zayn's, I'm not super familiar with his music, so I was going into this, I'm like, okay, I don't know if I want to hate this or if I want to like this, so going in blind. And it starts off interesting with Calamity, where it's like a spoken word, slow song to get you into the album, which I really was not expecting at all. Yeah. Like usually I was thinking it'd be more poppy, like getting into it, and I'm like, whoa, that took me off a little bit of what I expected it, but kind of a pleasant surprise a little bit, I guess, but a little bit long for that first track of just him just ranting about some random shit.
Yeah. I think this album's relatively inoffensive. It's not very poppy. It's more of like a neo-pop, let's say, previously known as R&B kind of sound.
Yeah, neo-pop.
And I'd say it's definitely for the better. I would have expected a more poppy kind of thing from the One Directioners, and I would have hoped from my critique of the One Directioners pre-Audioface that if they are going to like break up and all do their own solo albums like that route that boy bands do, then you would hope that they escape from the boy band sound sooner or later. And you know, some of them have, some of them hadn't, but like Zayn's definitely taken it in a direction where he has. And it's really like, I'd say not like fantastic, at least for the first couple of songs, but inoffensive.
There's some decent stuff. There's some decent work in here. There's still some things that do bother me. I mean, you know my favorite thing, Snap, Clap, Stack, Crackle, Pop, Rice Krispies. You know that's my favorite song on earth. I hate it with a passion. And there's a couple songs that do that thing. I'm like, oh god damn it, stop. I hate that sound with a passion because it's overdone. It's really annoying and doesn't need to be done for it. But there's a couple good stuff like When Love's Around with Sid. I thought that was actually a decent track.
I really enjoyed
that's
that.
Like the him going is more in that trap and B style, which trap and B is now starting to get a little bit more into. I mean, it has been for the past couple of years, but it's getting more and more into the relevance of modern music and getting more and more into mainstream music as well. Yeah. But it's a genre that I'm starting to like more because I thought it could get a little bit boring at times, but I think now it's gonna, like this year, it's gonna start rising up and up and up to where now people are gonna start experimenting with it.
Yeah.
Which is what I've been wanting for a while in general.
Yes.
And with this one with Sid, I actually thought it was a little bit different than other ones I've heard, and I did like that track a lot.
Listening to it again, like the little chimey thing in the background reminds you of EDM, like a Major Lazer song. But you definitely do have that trap and B kind of construction. Again, it's like neo-pop. It's now becoming the new thing, and because it's taking more of a pop motif, sometimes it'll take things from other genres and help it move forward that way. Very much enjoy that.
And that's kind of awesome in it too.
I think it's a highlight. Yeah, so it's really good. It's a highlight of the album for me. The rest of it is just sort of like,
it's decent. Yeah, basically the rest of it, like Vibes. I know a lot of people were playing that a lot when he released as a single. And I thought that one was where I had that snap, clap, and other stuff in there. I'm like, it's a decent song, but I thought that definitely a highlight is When Love's Around. That's the one song where I'm like, okay, that's where I could see like talent on production-wise and the vocals and other stuff where I'm like, okay, that's a good song. Yeah. The rest, like, after that you have Connexation, which is...
It's just like connection. Just like spelled stupidly.
Yeah, straight dyslexic right there.
Annexation. Which one? Anyways, the Connection kind of has a slower, almost acoustic, I guess, acoustic-esque kind of sound to it, but it does the snap clap thing, and it's really annoying the more you even point it out to me. Like, not that's your fault, but that like,
no, that's just
now
how
that you've
it
like, put a
is.
highlight on it, it's like
it's over. It's the way the way the producers did it on this album. It's really in your ears where it's overdone because you can do it in ways that are quite subtle and won't be too much in your face, but this is doing it in the extreme way, which is bad. After that, you have Sweet, which is an okay track. It's just really slow, and that was kind of my...
Sweat. Sweet.
Jesus Christ, I cannot read
buddy.
for shit right
Good
now.
game, buddy.
And then after that, you have unfuckwittable. Here we go. I said something right for once.
Yeah.
And that's again doing the stupid snap clap thing in there too. And that's to me at the end, or that middle part of the album towards the end is where it's so slowed down and it just got a little just boring to me in that regard.
To me, this album just had like glimpses of a pulse here and there,
Yeah,
mostly
yeah,
around
yeah.
the features. I think Sweat was a really good kind of like groovy love track with bass in it. Unfuckwittable to me was kind of like, I almost wanted him with a title like that to go more of like a Schoolboy Q route and less of a Sam Smith route. But like, it's still kind of like, it's fine there. I was really impressed with Windowsill though.
Oh yeah, Windowsill.
Yeah.
Featuring
Devlin.
Devlin.
Yeah, sounds like a little mini Skepta there or something.
Yeah,
Some
I thought
raps
that was
there.
actually a decent track too. So the thing with Zayn is that he's actually decent at having some neo pop songs and a little bit more of that trappy-ish feel. I'm glad it wasn't just straight that, because it again would have been boring. The other things is that now it just needs to explore more, experiment more, do stuff. I think collaborating with a lot of artists, because the two collaborations on this album were the two of the best songs. So I think what I'd like to see from him is to collaborate a little bit more with a couple of different artists and to see, exploring different tastes and getting into one combined thing. I think that'll be for the better. But
Yeah.
it's a decent album overall. A little bit boring on my part.
River Road was a nice kind of ending to it, but I literally, after listening to this album 2.5 times, I literally forget that Tightrope is there. I'm not even sure what it is. I think it's a good size, managed to, even with 36 minutes, have a little bit of filler in it.
Yeah.
But like, I'm glad that it's the size it is, because I didn't feel like, it wasn't even approaching the line of like, I'm sick of this. I'm just like, I'm very much, this is enough. I'm happy with
exactly.
this.
This is just enough to where I can handle it, and then it's enough to where it gets the point across of what he wants to do and all this jazz, and it's nothing too offensive.
And the year's just starting. I'm not sure if this is going to be a little bit of a trend for the year, although to an extent I think it will be, because we've noticed that albums, songs have gotten a lot shorter. We've created the drop category for that reason.
Yeah.
Or it could be that artists who are a bit more mature and that they've released a lot of albums and they've gotten to flesh out their sound are now focusing their projects more later in their age. I'm not sure which exactly trend that is, but I think we here on Audioface enjoy the shorter albums here.
Right.
So it benefits from that shortness, and overall, it's a decent listen. The arbitrary scale this week has Sean from the future regrets his experience right now in this video. Is capital. So this is a complicated one. We've decided to kind of point out the fact that on Audioface we have an arbitrary scale because we don't like giving albums an actual rating review because they're almost all bullshit.
Exactly.
I'm gonna rail on Pitchfork and a couple others and a little bit later.
Oh my god, yes, that's right. Thank you for reminding me right now, because things will be said.
But the arbitrary scale allows us to allow the review to stand for itself and give some sort of rating. So the rating we're going to be used, usually related to some news kind of thing, is taking the 5 people who died semi-tragically at the Capitol riots earlier this month and taking the non-biased, coldly capitalist approach of an insurance adjuster to see which life is valued more and then associate that life to an album. That being said, this was a pretty decent album. Probably not worth like the most having everything with you together. So I'm gonna give it an Ashley Babbitt.
I'm not gonna name names. I'm just being like on like a destruction level of like, okay, how is like you gotta insure more, you gotta insure less.
Basically I'm assuming the value of their life is in like what they were doing in their lives before deciding to drink the Trump Kool-Aid and pretend to be white ISIS storming the Capitol as though they were Leroy Jenkins. Instead, in Ashley Babbitt's case, getting her neck spliced in MSNBC Live. Before that, Babby was an Air Force veteran who identified as a libertarian in support of the Second Amendment. Fine people who do both of those things sometimes. And but the fact that you're an Air Force veteran, honestly, that's a lot of credit. The VA, as shitty as it is, that's a lot of other things that you'd be provided as an armed service member. So I'm saying that that's like worth a pretty decent amount as far as like an insurance adjuster's cold capitalist claim.
All right.
Audioface is a show about morals.
Yeah, I'm just gonna roll with that. That's fine.